Now we are going to create a component. So now if you observe from our browser, it's showing this hello world, so that means we are now in charge, so we can now control our HTML and CSS. So I'm going to create a components folder. So components. So inside this component, I'm going to create two of the components that we will need in our project, but we are going to use it to play around a little by using props and other stuff that was included in the question you just asked. So we are going to create 3 components now. So the first one is going to be a nav folder, then the next one is going to be a footer. So if you notice, we have that in the project, footer. Then inside this footer, I'm going to create each component now. So remember, a component must start with a capital letter. If you use a small letter, React to find out you. So 00tro.jsx, then I'll hit what? Enter. Now if you have installed this React snippet ES7 from your extensions here, so you can type the shortcut ROAFCE. Now you wait for Emit to show you the suggestion, then hit what? Enter. Now you notice mine is bringing this React stuff, but even if I comment it out, it will not throw an error. So the next thing I will now do now is inside my nav folder, I'll create the nav component. So nav.jsx, then I'll use the shortcut ROAFCE. So you wait for it to show, that is if it will show, then I'll hit what? Enter. So in this one, I will not comment this out because for my system it doesn't find out this. So I don't know why the thing does not find out my own, but if it shows an error, then there's no harm in removing it. So the next thing that we are now going to do now is to create a home component. So from our browser here, you notice that, or from the project here, you notice that we have a home component, or the page, the home page, this and this should all be a component. So just to play around this, we'll create another one. Then by the time we start to create the navbar, we'll create the other ones. So I'll create the home component, the home folder first, then after that I'll create the home component, home.jsx. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to, now if you create a component and just leave it like this, by the time you use it in your apps, it will throw an error because this is empty, this is not a component. So ROAFCE. I remember a component in React returns HTML. Okay, so in our app.js we can arrange this the way it looks like. So if you notice, from each of this our page, we have the navbar, then we have what looks like the content of the page or of each page. Then if you scroll down, you find the footer, right? So those are the two things that are common. So in this page now, we are now going to rearrange it. So this is going to be the navbar like this. So you see that as I've typed this now, I'll wait for it, then it's going to show me this part. Then I'll hit what? Enter. Now as I hit enter, notice that it has automatically what imported it for me. Now if I've written more things, you will not see this import. So I believe it will be safe for the sake of this video, so that you will not forget that you should import it first before you use it. I'll do it the manual way, which is kind of slow. So I'll do nav. So nav, then from, then the path to where the component is. So dot and forward slash is going to open. So you choose your component, then slash again, you choose the folder where the component is, which is my nav, slash again, and the component. So with this I've imported it. So because I want to import two other components, I'll do the same thing for all of them, so I'll not be going back and forth. So import, the next one is what is footer space from quotes dot and forward slash the components slash the footer slash footer. Very nice. So now the next one now is my what is my home. So import home from quote dot and forward slash the component slash home slash home. So now we have all our imports, so now we can use them. So now I'm going to type the nav space, then my slash, and this. The next thing now will be what will look like my content. So in a very short while, this is going to be our route, but let's just leave it like this first. So we have our home here slash this. Now because we've already imported them at the top, so we don't need to worry about import error again. So I'll now have my, what is left now, the footer slash this. So this is how we create a component, and this is how we use the component in React. So all these imports that I'm not using again, so it's nice we say bye bye to them. So that's nice. So and this useState that we're not using, it's also nice we say bye bye to them. So if I save now, I go to my browser, I'm going to see the nav, I'm going to see the home, and I'm going to see the footer. So if I do that, that is what I'm going to see here. So you see there's no error. Now if I inspect this page, you see that there's no error. And why is there no error? Because I've written React the way React loves it. So there's no frowning now. It's happy, and me too, and what? I'm happy. So if I press that console, you see that there's no error, which is nice. So the next thing now, let's talk about props. Now props, they are like arguments in a normal function. So they make a component more dynamic, not static. So if I go to my home now and I type a text here, so let me do something. So I'm going to highlight this, bring it down, I will say a H2. So now here I'm going to use emit because it's faster. So I'm going to say welcome to Villa. So this is just what enter my mind now. So I just go to put a paragraph here, or let me not put a paragraph, let's just put a paragraph. So let me just do something, say my name is Amadi Chile. So if I save this, you will see that I'm going to see this, welcome to Villa, my name is what? Amadi Chile. Now you know in vanilla JavaScript a function any code that you put inside your function can be what? Reusable. So you can use that code as many times as possible without having to write all the lengthy code. So if I come to my app.js now and I duplicate this into 2 more times, 1, 2, shift alt, arrow down, I save, I'm going to see this thing 2 more times. Are you seeing it? So my name is Amadi. So what if I want the name to be changing? So that's where I now want the component or the function to be what? Dynamic, and that's where we'll pass what? Props. So let's see how we do that. So in the first one, I'm going to pass a prop called name, then equal to. Now you can pass anything as a prop. It can be a number variable, it can be a string, it can be a boolean, it can be an object, it can be an array, it can even also be a function. So because we want to pass a string now, we'll use quote. Then so I'm going to put Amadi green. So if I save this now, there will be no visible effect because I have not used it in my home component. So I'm going to go to my home component now. Then I'm going to welcome this. Now there are 2 ways you can use this, but I'll just show you the simple way. You put a curly bracket here, then the name that you use to send the prop, or the, how would I put it, just like the value here. So it must not be name. So the value here that you use to send the prop, that is what you use to receive the prop where you sent it to, which is the home. So I'm going to just type the name here. Then I'm now going to put here. So I'm going to enter my JavaScript environment now because I want to inject a variable. So I will say if name exists, if you are going to put name, but if it does not exist, then you are going to use a default name. So my name is Amadi Chile. So what will happen now is this now. So let's first analyze it before it. So in this one now, it's going to show me my name is Amadi Chile. No, it's going to show me my name is Amadi Green because I've passed a prop. But in this other two now, because the prop will be undefined, so it's not going to remain what? Amadi Chile. So let's try the theory and see if it's working. So if I save this now, you are going to notice that here I have Amadi what? Green, and here I have Amadi what? Chile, and this. So now if I go back to my app component and I pass name here, say name should be equal to Amadi White. Then here full name Amadi Lemon, or something like this. So if I save this, you see that the props are not dynamic. I see. So after it refresh, it's going to change that. So there's a little bit of lagging, but it's going to refresh very soon. So let me see if I saved. So name, yes. So you see, so it has not changed to, I didn't spell this one well, Amadi White and Amadi Lemon. So based on how I've used props now, you see that there was no error here. So just to review, if I want to use another props now. So I want to pass a number prop. So I'll put what, then is that the spell what? Yes. So I'll put what now, then I'll put 10,000. So if I save this, I will come to here, another p tag, just to go to a new line. Then I'll put I am what. So I'm going to the structure. So now this part of it is called the structuring. So I'm going to write the what here. Remember, the name that you use to send the prop here, that is the name that you use to the structure, so that you can use the prop in your component. So I am what. So I'll go to enter my JavaScript environment here. What. So again, I'm going to handle for some errors. In case the what is not found or was not sent, it will not show an incomplete statement. So I'm going to put, if what is true, use what. But if it is not true, you will now put a number here. Let's say 100. So I'm going to put I'm what 100. So let me just put the dollar here. Sign here. I'm what $100. So if I save this now and go back to my browser, so let's see what will show. So you see in this one that is here, it says I'm worth $10,000. But for this one here that I did not pass the what prop, you see that I'm worth what $100. So this is how you can use prop and you will not have an issue. So based on what I've done, do you have an issue using prop, or is there a question? Okay, Mr. Diana, please.
Thank you, sir, for what you have done so far. Please, sir, I hope that the recording of this class will be available for us after.
Yes.
I really like.
Yes, as soon as we finish, I'll just compress it, then and I will send for it to be uploaded to the YouTube. Then I'll send you the link.
Yes, from what you are saying now, you'll be sending to somebody to upload it. So when are we going to have it? Be available for?
Yes, it is actually to my boss. I'll send it to, because he is the one that does the uploading. So I'll send it to him. Then pending how this busy is. So I think maybe before our tomorrow's class, it will be ready.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So you have, is there any other question? So I believe from this from what I've taught now, you've seen how you can create a component in React and how to pass prop without what? An error. So now I want to move to another topic, because based on our design here, if you analyze it, we are going to see that we will need a navbar to move from one page to another. So there is need for us to do what? Routing. There is need for us to do routing. Okay, Mr. Bami, I have not done your state. I believe that is what I want to ask. Please speak up, Mr. Bami. Mr. Bami, please speak up. I just remember that you asked a question about states and I forgot to do that, so I think I'll do that before I enter this route. So please speak up. Is that what you want to ask? I think you went offline. Yes, I can hear you.
What I'm saying is this: you said your boss will upload the videos anytime. I think the best was like this video. Some of it is not that clear, but I'm just assuming that I'll be able to watch this video like after the class, maybe before the next class. So I'll be able to ask whatever the area where some area where we need to where there's the adjustment or where we are start. Everything can be cleared there. But after tomorrow class, that means we have to postpone it the following week again. I think that is someone causing it will be delayed the normal project that I'm supposed to be doing, and it will slow down the work and others.
Okay, there is no issue about that, but why I don't want to give you a definite date, because I don't know how busy this might be. So, but I'm promising you that I will upload the video to him, and I believe it's likely before 12 a.m. or even 9 a.m. I mean, before 9 p.m. he will upload the video. But just know that before our class tomorrow, the video will be ready.
Alright, thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so I just remember that you asked a question about states. So I'm going to answer that question now before we continue. So if you want to use states, now states in the React, they enable us to access the DOM or to update the DOM. Now you see this thing that we are using here as prop. You can use a variable to inject a variable to what? The DOM, but to change that state becomes an issue if you're not using what? Hooks. So I'm going to show you a demo of that. So let's build a small counter app. So we can create another component for that called, let's call that counter. So let's create a component for that. We'll call that counter. Then inside here, create a new component, counter.jsx. Then I'm going to type RAFCE. So I'm going to save this. Now if I like, I can call this my counter component inside my home and there will not be an issue. But let me just call it inside the app since I'm there. So I'm calling it inside the app. So I'm going to use the shortcut here. So counter, or let me stick to my word, I'll use the long cut. So I'm going to import counter from dot and / component. Oh, not that is from, not from dot and / and my import is incorrect. So you see, as I'm typing, I'm observing that that the color is not displaying the way it's meant to display. So I noticed that there's an error. So the components / counter / counter. So now we have that, so I can now use it here. So I have my counter now / this. Okay, I think I didn't spell the counter well. There's no n here. Okay, so the error has gone out. So if I save this now, oh, I'm sorry, my video went, the audio went off. So I'm sorry about that. So I believe you can hear me now. Is this network a glitch? it just stripped, or the thing just fluctuated, and I didn't know that my this went off, or I mistakenly pressed it. Okay, so again, we've created the counter component just to isolate the code from the home component. Then we've also manually typed this, as you saw from the screen. Then now I've imported it here. So if I save this now, I'll go to my browser. I'm going to see the counter. So let me start to use the useState in my counter. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this out, put a H2 there, a H3 there. My IntelliSense is wasting time, so let me give it another try. H3, then I'll put this, then I can add a horizontal line, which is the H arrow, just to split that up. So what I want to do now is this. I now want to create a small counter app. So I'll create a function, or I'll create a variable called count. Let count be equal to 0. Then I want to have a button here, so I'll put the counter is equal to what? Count. So I'm going to put a button here, then I'm going to put counter plus plus. So this means if I click on my count, it should what? Increase. Then I'm going to add an event listener now, and remember, because of JSX, adding our event listener becomes very easier. So I'm going to add the onClick event listener like this. Then I'll add my anonymous function. Then I'll put the name of a function called add count. So I'm going to invoke that there. Then I'm going to create this function, unless it's going to throw an error. So the function excuse me, add count, that's correct spelling, add count. Then what I just want to do here is I want to say the counter, or the count, should be plus equal to 1. So this means it's going to increase by what? 1. So now the action is this. If I click on this state, or on this button here, it's going to call this function, then increase the count by 1, and I should be seeing it here. Now you recall that when we installed the React newly, you saw that count button. So as I was clicking on the count button, you see that it was increasing. So it is a similar thing that I want to do. So if I save this now and go to my browser, I'm going to see this count. Now this is as a result of the H arrow, that is the horizontal line. So if I click this now, you see that the count is not being what? Displayed on the browser, and that is because in React world you cannot update the DOM by just using a variable. You must use a hook. So if you don't use a hook, you cannot update the DOM. So you can put something to the DOM once, but to change it dynamically, you must use what? A hook. So just to show you that this thing is actually updating and React is preventing it, if I put a console.log here, so a console.log count, let's see if it's actually updating. So remember that my console.log is already open there. So if I tap this, you notice that it has incremented to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So but it's not incrementing the DOM because React is preventing it. So in order to stop that behavior, we need to use what? Hooks. So I'm going to comment this out just for memory's sake. Then now to use the useState hook, which is one of the most simplest and most powerful hook, is you declare, you say let or const depending on what you want to use. Then I will now use count, then I'll put comma set, I'll put comma set count, then this is equal to use state. Now I'm going to do automatic import, so I'm going to hit enter and you see it has automatically imported. Then I'm going to put what 0 here. So now I want to explain what this means. Now Shift Alt A. So the 0 here, this 0 here is the initial value of what count. So because we are using the same variable count here, so the initial value will be what count. Then the set count now is a function that useState gives you to update the or to update count when you want. So it is like you now buying a car now and you don't have the key. So that means if you have an emergency, you have to call the person to bring what the key. So that is not fine. So if you are using a useState, it gives you a function which is like a key to enable you to update the DOM when you want. And that is why, because we are not using a hook, that is why React is preventing us from what updating what the DOM. So I'm just going to duplicate this function, Shift Alt arrow down, and comment this one out. So instead of using this now, I'm going to use set count now, which React gives us to update the count anytime we want. Then I'm going to use prev, which is like the previous value of what of count. Then I'll now say prev plus 1. So it just means add 1 to the previous value of what count, which is what 0. If I click again now, the previous value of count is now 1, so it will now add what 1. So it's almost the same logic like this one, but this is an optimized version. This is an optimized version when you're using what the set count, as I've explained in the videos. So if I save now and come here and click like this now, you see that it starts was updating in real time. See, so that is how we use the useState in React, and you see that it updates the DOM without refreshing. So our time is almost up. We just have 7 minutes. So let's see how we can install the React Router DOM and do a simple navbar on style 1 before we close. So remember that our this one is still open there, our terminal is still open here, that links to our directory. So it's almost the same thing that is here. So I'm going to install, so npm install React Router DOM, then I'll hit what? Enter. So if you must use the React Router DOM, you must use what? If you must do routing in React, you must use the React Router DOM. So after it's finished installing, then we'll now begin using it. But before you finish installing, let's do the markup for a simple what? A simple navbar. So let's create 2 more components. We'll not create all of them because of time. So we've created home. So let's create shop while we wait for it. So I'm going to create another one. So let's create the shop. So I'll create a folder again here, shop, remember. Then now the actual component. So it's taking okay, so I'll create the actual component now. Remember, each component name must start with the capital letter. So shop.jsx excuse me. Then because I've installed React snippet, I can now use the shortcut to generate the boilerplate, which is RAFCE. So I'll wait for my emit to come up. So my system is really multitasking, so that's why it's slow. So if I save this now, it means I have my shop component. So let's go to our navbar now. So the first step to do your routing is this. So this guy has not finished. Okay, so while we wait for it, let's move to the third step. So this is actually the third step. So I'll come to this my nav now, because we have about 4 minutes and I don't want to go over time. So I'll come to this point now. I'll clean this nav. I want to use a list tag, so I'll just use UL and on other list, but you can use any other thing you want, but this is mostly used. So the first thing I want to have here is an li, and this is going to hold a logo for now. So let me see if this has finished installing. Good. So now let's go back to the step 1. So now the step 1 is this. So we are going to come back to this step. So now the step 1 is this. I'm going to also comment it here. Router step 1. So the router step 1 is this. You wrap the app component with the word browser router. So browser router like this. Now I've done automatic import, as you can see here, so just to save some time. Now as I was marking assignment, I really love a student that used another method of the routing system and it worked. And for some of you, you use switch. Now switch is not part of the browser router, so I have to refactor your code in order for it to work. So this is the first step. You wrap the app with what? The browser router. Now I'll save this. Now if you don't save this, React will not know that you've added something, so you save this. This is the step 1. So now the step 2 now is you go to the app itself, or if there's another company you want to use, but for now you're going to use the app. So we go to the app itself, the app.jss, then all these things that we don't want here. So all these other things I'm going to comment out because we don't want them to be here. Actually, they should not be here if we have the routing system. So now this is router step 2. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to automatically import 2 things. Routes. You see that one, plural, routes. So I'm going to wait for my emit to come up. So you see routes from React Router DOM. So I'll click that, and you see the automatic what import. Now this has an opening and closing tag. Then the next one now is singular route. So route. Now I'm going to wait for my emit, and I'll do automatic import again. I'll click here. Good. So if your own does not show, then you have to manually do it just as we've done. Then the next thing now is path. So what path would the user visit before it will load the component that will show next? So is slash. Then the next part now is element. So what is the element that you want to load? Element. This thing is kind of slow, so I'll type it. Element. Then I'll now load the home component, which is this home. Slash this. So I have my home component. So just to save myself some typing, and then I'll close the route with a slash and this. Now to save myself some typing, I'm going to do Shift Alt arrow down. So remember, it's just two routes that we are doing now. Then I'm going to put this one as what? Shop. Then here we are going to automatically import the shop. So shop. No, I didn't get that right. Shop. So you wait for your emit. If it will show, then you tap here. So you notice the automatic what import here. Oh, there's light. So let me off this fan side, you know. Okay, so I've done that automatic import. So we have just two routes now that we want the user to be visiting for now. So I'm going to save this. Now if I want to test if this route is actually working, see what happens now. If I come here and put shop and hit enter, notice that it will load shop here. I think it needed to refresh that, and each time you use this navbar here, that is how it will refresh. So you see the route is actually working. But if I put maybe like the about that is not there now, it's going to show an error, or it just remain blank. So there's no component to load. So if you see the error here, no route match the location. So now this is now the third step, where we move to our nav component here, which is this one. So I'll call this one, so let me add a comment here. So please, if you are doing the route, please follow these steps. So router step 3. So here now I'm going to put tab. Now I'm going to use the link tag. So link tag is still part of what? The React Router DOM is what makes you change from one page to another without React having to refresh the page. So it's just like the anchor tag, but for now React wants you to use the link tag. Then when it is being converted, it's going to change it to the anchor tag. So if you're styling, you will not start with link tag, you start with what? The anchor tag. So I'm going to put here logo, but later you can change, you can put an image here if you want. So I'm going to Shift Alt arrow down, 1, 2. So here I'm going to also put my home here. you remember that in some website, if you tap the logo, it takes you to the home page too. So that's how I'm adding that. Then here will be shop. Then here now will be what? Shop. So with this now, we have done the needful, and there should be no error. So far as we've imported the link, we've imported the link tag here, and the routes match what we have in our app.js, which is /and/shop. So I'll save this, and this is where we'll come to the end of today's class. So if I save this now, you notice that I'll have this now. So I have my logo, which is taking to this my home page. I have my home, which is still my home page, but I have my shop now, which is this. So you see, there is no error, and everything is working. So if you follow these steps, then you will not have any issue with doing your routes. So even there was time, as part of the steps here, which is understand the scope and overall objective, then the sequence of the tasks, what we would have done is this: we would have done the entire routing here, at least for this one that we know: home, shop, about, the contact, and the shop. Then after that, you style this to look like this. Then the next thing now is you will now do your footer to also look like this. Then now the next step now will now be to start from the top here and build. Or you can also start with this one. You can also start with this method. So depending on the one you like, you can do the footer and do it gradually until you reach down. But the bit about it is that because the footer is still on this page, and if you build it as a component, by the time you go to the next page, you just have to call the component there, or you don't even have to even call it, because why we place our footer and our navbar outside the routes is so that they will be showing on all the pages. So if we didn't want it to be showing on all the pages, we'll add them as a what? As a route, or we'll be calling them manually inside each of the components, which will not be effective. So this is one of the effective way to display a component that you want to be showing on all your pages. So is there any question based on this routing system that I've just done now? Have you seen some of the mistake you made, or is there anything I did that you didn't understand clearly? Okay, Mr. Ejike, let me allow you to speak. So please, you can speak. Yes, good evening, you're welcome.
I have questions. Please, can you kindly click on project design, Figma design? I want to ask a question from you.
Okay.
Okay. So, those components created, are we saying that each thing here will create them as a component, that the navigation bar will be on that component? The one that has the cover of a new collection will be on another.
Okay, yes. Yes. Exactly. I get your question. Now, the beauty of React is this: split your code as much as you can. You might not understand the benefit of splitting it now, but it might also be for future these new designs. And another beauty of splitting your code into components is it also reduces bulk or bug in your responsiveness. So if, of course, just as you just asked now, the nav component here, or this nav section will be a component, and this section 1 from here to here will be what? A component on its own. Then if I scroll down again, so from here to here will be what? A component on its own. So these our products from here to where it ends will be what? A component on its own. Then this other 50 beautiful rooms and this will also be what? A component on its own. Then this this other section here will be what? A component on its own. Then you now have what? You now have the footer. Now the beauty of splitting them into components is this. Now if I do a responsiveness, or if I finish my navbar and I do the responsiveness, I'm done with it. So unless I have a CSS conflict, that is when I'll now be doing a responsiveness in this Mara section and it will affect my navbar. But just as I taught you, for each of the component that you use, now a component name must be unique. So if you use an ID as name of the component, and you're using your SCSS, which you can do nesting, that means there will never be what? A conflict, a name conflict. So if you do that, it then means once you're done with this page and its responsiveness, you're done with it. There should be no error again. So if you're having a responsive maybe an error in your responsiveness, you know the component to just go and debug and not the entire page. So please, I recommend, just as you asked, each section that can be grouped can be what? A component. Now even inside the component, you notice that this image here, we have the image here, and we have the text. We have the image here and we have the text. You can also create this in here as what? As a component. So you can split the component as many as you want. So they can be a top level division, they can also be a subdivision, they can also be a subdivision, just to make your code what? Reusable. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, that answers the first part of the question, sir.
Okay.
I would like to also know if we can have two things in the component.
Full what?
Component, because I don't choose it. Gift tag. Two gift tags. People can have two gift tags in the component. That is after the first you now have other things underneath it.
Yes. You can do that, but only that. Now you see that in this app component that is here, you see that it had this outer div here. Where it will be wrong is for it to not have another div here. You see, if I do that now, React is going to frown at me. And why is that? Because in this our session now is what? JSX. And the rule of JSX is this: if you're returning more than one component or tag, they must have a common parent. So since they don't have a common parent now, React will frown at you. So a quick way to fix this, if you need it in your application, is to move this div inside this parent div of app, or if you create it inside here as div like this, you see I'll see have the same error now. Then to fix this, I have to use a fragment. So I'll do Ctrl X and put a fragment like this, and I'll paste that. So depending on what you want to do, you see that the error now has been fixed. So I have the app here, it ends here, and I have this external div here. But it's also the same thing if I put it inside like this. So I don't know if that has cleared your question.
Yes, it does. That's very and lastly, sir, not the question, but concerning the agenda, I saw at the point I couldn't hear what you were saying. It's like network was having, so I saw the agenda post. I wrote my name again in the agenda, so I don't know.
Okay, there's still one last attendance to take, so don't worry about that. Okay, we still have one line. Okay, so please, if you have any question, please you ask, because I'm about to end the class now. So I believe before, or I pray that before the end of today, the videos will be available for you, and you are going to have these videos, and so you can practice with them with your final project in view. Now I will also like you to start your final project on time. Apply what we are learning now in splitting the project into some achievable tasks, and set a time frame for them, because it might be that the week 12 or the week 11 to 12 that you're using for your this final project, you might be so busy that time. But if you start now, you can finish about 70% of it. So with the small time that you have in that your week 12, you can finish it. So that's one of the reasons why I gave it to you on time, so that you can start on time to do it. So by the end of tomorrow's class, before tomorrow end, you receive your assignment for this week 9, and you continue. So let's take the last question from Mr. Witty, and we'll end the class. So Mr. Witty, please speak up.
Yes, good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I want to appeal if you can, because this revision you just made now has made the understanding stronger. So I want to appeal if you can make sessions like this within this week, to be having sessions, revision sessions about what you taught earlier, so that we can become more accustomed to them, those concepts. And then secondly, I created a component to add to cards.
Okay.
And I was trying to make the function such that if you should click the plus as in to add, it will be adding, like this project that we have now. There is a at the navbar, but I believe the function, the button that will be clicking, will be in the main content, in the content of the page.
Okay.
So, but I was trying to click it, and then it will be showing on the navbar, but I didn't know how to connect the navbar to the components.
Okay.
So I would like, yes, I would love you to.
Okay.
The video show you that.
That is a very nice. This tax, and I think I did something similar to that in the real video, but just as you've also appealed, is also part of what is in my mind, and that is why I saw the challenges that most of you are having in your React, and that's why I even did a session like this. So in our tomorrow's class, because you've asked, we are going to treat atoms, because what you're trying to do now has to do with global scoping of a hook, and as I explained in the video, it has two this in scope. It can be local and it can be global. So in our tomorrow's class, which will not be the lesson for the main class will not be lengthy, so I will use the remaining time to treat on that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much. So let's take our last attendance and I will close for today.